Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Flashbang Wallop, our third show in the series, and we're gaining momentum, getting more views, getting more subscribers. So do the thing, hit the subscribe button and hit the like button and all the stuff you've got to do to take part and come back time after time. So I'm here as your host, and with me are my three colleagues. Ian. Hello, Ian. Good evening.
Good evening, colleagues. Do we get paid for this?
No,
Oh.
long way to go before we do that. Ian, Doddsy, good evening.
Good evening. I've just changed my background to update it to the Swiss finals where I was last weekend.
Are they all your latest awards? Yeah, look,
Yep, yeah, all of them, a whole lot.
Okay. And Damo, good evening. You're out on the street again.
Yes, I'm good. Yep, very good. Looking forward to the show.
Yeah, this is one of your favourite shots, isn't it? You love your reflections.
Oh, this is my yes. It's a shot that's got its own life to it. Yes,
great.
Your pictures do get a life of their own. Certain of them, whether you like them or not, other people take them.
And Damo is our BBC king yet again.
Yes,
last week, pictures on BBC
week?
Again. How do you do it? You have to tell us your secret.
He bombards them with hundreds of pictures a day.
It was a beautiful day in Brighton. That was a beautiful morning.
Yeah. Is it quantity versus quality? Is what you got to consider.
Yeah. He's worn them down. That's what he's on.
Oh no,
that's
not
why he has
Damo
to travel
again.
the country.
Yeah. He's almost got a halo around him. Look, the sun shining on him as well. Look.
Oh yes, in fact, I was saying earlier I should have done an outside broadcast and taking you up to Normandy Hill here in Holton Rugby, because the sunset's going to be really fantastic. But we're sitting here do a podcast, so we'll have to start, guys, your podcast sunsets, which look really good anyhow.
Thanks, Damo. You're giving me heart attacks now. It's just about managing to get this sort of podcast on the way, let alone do live outside podcasts. We'll be really pushing the boundaries.
That's the sunshine streaming through the window, you see. Won't last for long.
No. Well, I'll make the most of it. This is our British summer, don't forget. It'll be 1 week, so we'll grab the most of it. So what we're going to do tonight, guys, we're going to have a talk about some news items we've seen of interest, a couple of new bits of kit, and then Damo is going to give us a little bit more insight into his photography and his style. So we'll be doing that later on. But let's kick off with the news items we've spotted and seen. The first one, of course, which is you're always being warned about plagiarism and copyright, but you wouldn't expect the manufacturer to go ahead and do that, would you? So, Ian, what did you see that made us all laugh or cringe?
Yeah, well, I think we're going to cover it a little bit later, but Panasonic announced a new camera, the S9, Lumix S9, and on the product page, they had some images to show the camera off, and someone recognised the image or some of the images as they've seen them before, and they did some digging, and the images were taken on a Nikon. So Panasonic have had to apologise.
It seems they use Canon images as well.
Yeah.
Canon as well. Yeah. I mean, what a mess. I mean, the wording underneath was I'm trying to find the wording on it now, but it was like it wasn't. None of the wording on the website said these images are taken on the camera. They're representative of what can be achieved on the camera, but it's a naughty way of doing it. But Panasonic have apologised, and I think it's shocking. I mean,
are they going to have to?
They've still got the images. They've still got the images up on one of the other products, apparently.
Oh, the the flagship one, the
GH5F, yeah. 5F, so it's a big question mark as to, do they actually? I mean, do their cameras actually work? Who knows? Maybe they should send us one. We'll find out.
Yeah. I mean, it's bad enough, you can't. You look at images these days and you go, "Oh, is it AI or is it not AI?" And it's bad. That's hard enough, and now to not even have images that are taken on the camera is it's terrible, really. But
Lightroom's now got generative AI as well.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's just they probably outsource their stuff, and there's so many layers of administration. Somebody doesn't actually quality control somewhere along the line, and and not doesn't happen all the time, but it happens, and it's down to just basic.
It's just a stupid mistake.
Yeah, but you would think that a camera's marketing department would use the company's photographs. It's just, yeah, I'm sure someone's head rolled for that one. We'll come back to the Lumix camera that you wanted to talk about later on, Ian. The other thing that we heard as well, we're going to talk about competitions as well, is that the
landscape
photographer of the year, the competitions, they've actually put it back a year. Is that right? They've
said in the comments that it's not been confirmed, but they had they've extended the poster boards in Waterloo Station, and Charlie Waite was there, and there's a picture, and then in the comments someone asked when the competition is, and the person now running it said it's going to be in 2025, and they tried to correct that, but it's never been corrected. So I'm assuming, and Ian and I had a chat about it, likelihood that they're wanting to get everything sorted out before they come out to the public and take submissions. But it's not official, but it's in one of the comments on one of the social media.
Well, you say it's not official. I mean, I saw one of their Instagram posts that had a picture of Charlie. It did say in the caption, we hope to launch it in 2025. And as Damo was saying, I think they had issues last year, which we've spoken about, and plenty of people have covered. You know, they had some real administrative balls up, basically. You know, people who were shortlisted who didn't, highly commended, didn't get in the book, and it was a bit of a mess. And Charlie Waite had to apologise in the end.
Is it not a case though that they need to have this gap to get their ducks in a row and actually get some credibility back? Because
I applaud it, to be honest. I think it's a good idea to have a gap year and get everything sorted, and drum some interest up. If they're smart, they'll towards the end of this year they'll get the social media running, and they'll build some interest up for it for next year.
So guys, asking, have you all entered the Landscape Photographer of the Year competition? I think you have, Ian, haven't you?
I have done previously, yeah. I didn't last year.
You got shortlisted, didn't you, so far?
Yeah.
No, I've never been shortlisted. I had one that, or maybe one, I don't know, one maybe got so far in the shortlisting, but it got cold after the sort of first.
Can I show that up now, Ian?
Yeah.
There we go. So this was your entry. Can you remember when this was?
No, it was a few years ago now. This one.
Okay.
You had a lovely waterfall, I think.
That's the one.
No, that's the one. Same one. Good.
Okay, and Damo, you submitted as well, haven't you?
Yes, I'm going to come back into mine when I come into the talk about my photography stuff. So the backgrounds was a highly commended one in Landscape Photographer for the Year.
Right, great. And
it's got the trademark reflection, which people seem to like.
Yeah. Neil, you ever entered into it yourselves?
No. And after everything that's happened and the size of the competition, I wouldn't, to be honest.
No.
It's too big. And to be honest, a lot of these competitions, unless there's something quirky, I don't really go for it, because it's just the negative feedback, or it's a waste of time entering. I mean, if there's 9,000 images, you've got to have something super special that sticks out, or super different. And I don't know, there's a lot of stuff you see now. I used to enter one here. It's just so arty. People have done a lot of post.
You've got to have impact, basically, because they're literally looking at the images for 2-3 seconds. And they've got to make a decision. There's no, let's sit and have a look at this image and really consider the composition or the technical aspects. There's none of that.
It has to be something.
Got the impact.
It has to be something they've never seen before, or something that they've seen before but never seen it from that view.
Isn't that true, really, of nearly all competitions you enter, whether it's a local photo club competition or a really big one? Because, as you say,
I think
they turn it over. If it doesn't immediately have a hit with them or something about it, they just move on to the next one. I think it's a bit like jobbing.
I think when it gets to like
the job interview I've been going for. They look at my CV, pass it straight on. Look for a good one.
Yeah, when it, like Neil says, when it gets to the size that landscape photography of the year gets to, it is. They just don't have any time to consider the images at all.
I mean, how long before AI is used to weed out images?
Yes,
there's a thought.
We'll have a discussion on that as well. Okay, well, it's interesting. There was what was the other one we were talking about? The British Journal, Damo?
Oh, yeah, the British Journal of Photography. Yes, they've the portraits, and they do a volume every year. And I'm just going to bring up some of the pictures and it's really interesting. It's called Portraits of Humanity, and they've got the shortlist for volume 6. And you were just talking about quirkiness, and you were talking about the fact that what a judge is looking for, and they haven't got much time. But I still have to say, the portrait images that are on the shortlist, some are spectacular, some they're not my cup of tea, but the majority of them are really interesting. And I always find them interesting because it just gives you an idea of what people are looking for and what's floating the boat, so to speak, of the judges. I don't know if any of you, I think Ian said you'd had a look at them as well. There's some
just having a look now.
Yeah, I'm flicking through, and I would say one of the things that really sticks out immediately is a lot of natural light.
Yes,
there's not many sort of studio setup type flash.
Wow, not that you can
shots
tell
here. No, but if flash has been used, it's been used in a very subtle way to balance with the ambient light, or it's just been used very well. There are some portrait shots, that studio type portrait lighting shots there, but not very many. There's a lot of natural light shots, which is interesting.
Yeah, I like people watching, so it's really good.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on from that to another bit of a faux pas. You were looking at the situation with Adobe. They've got themselves into a bit of a mess as well, haven't they?
Yeah, they've had a falling out with the Ansel Adams estate. They were trying to contact them since August last year to say that you're selling images I forget what they call it. In Adobe stock. So someone was not Adobe, but people can sell through Adobe stock, and someone was selling Ansel Adams style images, and obviously the Ansel Adams estate took offence to that, but it took them from August to get hold of Adobe and go, you need to take these down, and they did eventually. But so basically images that have been created using AI, again, in this style of Ansel Adams.
I mean, there's a big thing on Instagram at the moment. People are saying, don't use my images to train your AI, so to speak. Sure, Facebook and Instagram and all these big photographic houses holding images are training their AI. Because that's what they're using.
The minute you upload it, they own it.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, I was going to say,
it doesn't matter what you say.
These petitions and that are pointless. And I still stand by this. Someone said to me a long time ago, if you don't want it stolen, don't put it online.
Yeah.
And they were right. Because the only way is just don't share it online. And I'm very careful about what I share online. A lot of what I consider my better stuff, I don't put it on social media at all, because I don't want it taken and stolen. But yeah, Neil's right. Once you've done it, it's too late, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really interesting stuff. So you've got to watch what's going on all the time. Now, last show, we got Neil to give a little intro about his style of photography and what he does and how he got into it. So this month, I'm going to ask Damo to give us a little bit of an insight into his photography, how he got into it and what he likes, his particular style. You can see a good inkling of it in his background tonight. So Damo, let's start. How did you get into photography?
Oh, there's going to be my chance to bore everybody now and get so excited about.
I'm just popping for copper.
So I mean, it's really difficult. It almost comes a timeline how I got into photography and doing it. I mean, my dad was a keen amateur photographer, and I still remember having a Kodak Brownie and going to Chester Zoo back in '66, taking pictures. Pictures always used to be family holidays at home. When I went to university, they were taken on student holidays, and that's the time I did them. And then I did a PhD because of my background is dentistry, and I did a PhD in dentistry. And I had to take my own photographs for the scanning electron microscope and pictures of apparatus, and I had to develop them. So I'd spent hours developing in black and white all my pictures and printing them out. And still photographing at home as family and holidays, but dental photography became a big passion. And I got trained really well by a medical illustrator called Jane Taylor, and she showed me how to do the macro stuff, and I got really into that. And so it was family holidays, it was family, it was dental photography, and then digital photography came along. You could carry a camera around with you all the time, and I got quite excited. I had the Nikon 4500 swivel camera, a Canon PowerShots I went through, and I started doing a lot more. Social media really opened up everything, and I got really excited. I started breaking the mold. And just to bore you, I've got about 14 pictures to show you of my style and where I've gone, because I'm trying to cut them all down, but the enthusiast in me, the sort of expands. So I'm going to bore you with them all. So the first thing was that the weather watches, BBC weather watches, you teased me about it. For my first picture, St. Paul's Church got on and got me fame. And then a picture of Noel locks in one of the canal locks in Noel on the Grand Union did well. But in 2018, I entered in the Canal and River Trust competition, 2019, just before the pandemic. And my pictures came first and third in a local competition, and I was really pleased. The picture you see is this guy running underneath the Snow Hill station. You don't see the canal, but there's a reflection of the runner in a puddle by the canal, and that opened me up to a lot of interest, because the Canal and River Trust loved the picture, but real canal enthusiasts said, "Where's the canal? It's not in the picture," sort of thing. And I realized, touching the controversy of your interpretation of pictures. And then lockdown happened, and you guys came along and you enthused me. You got me going on it. And I remember getting into the macro stuff and oil and water and getting bubbles and shining light on the bubbles and doing all the spectrum stuff. And a couple of those pictures during lockdown, again, got shortlisted. This one on oil and water did well. This one with an iPhone done in Umberslade got exhibited. And I was really quite excited about those ones. And then I started getting into portrait street photography. And I quite like asking strangers, do they want their picture taken? And there's two examples here. And I really, even today, I met a guy on the canal who was cycling for charity, and I really enjoyed that part. And I've got some examples more of the street photography that I do. And yeah, I remember one of our mentors, or if you can call him mentor, Ewan Rankin, said that street photography is the lazy man's photography, because you just have to take the picture, point the camera, and there's your picture. Well, I'm very careful to make sure I do it properly, listening to you and in the background telling me about that. But traveling on the train, you see this golden hour picture and stuff. And the competitions, I really want to go to the competitions. And I think, Ian, you got me into this landscape photographer of the year. And I thought, I went in every year and just didn't get anywhere, but I persevered. And I got a commended in 2023, which I was really pleased about. And then this year, I got in, or was it last year? It was 23 last year. I got a commended and a highly commended. And I was really chuffed. Hasn't changed my life. I just got in the book and was really chuffed that I got in the book. You get pushed back down to earth very quickly when you realize You don't win everything every time, and there's lots of other good pictures around. But I really enjoyed that. And I'm thinking now, other pictures that I do now is I quite like flowers, flower pictures, garden pictures, and I've done well with, as you see this one of poppies. I've been chasing poppies recently, um, and getting into the excitement of wildflower photographs and stuff. And then I go back to the pictures I took recently that I got onto BBC Breakfast Time. I still quite enjoy getting something up on BBC Weather. It's a bit twee, it's just a lot of fun. What do I use picture-wise? I use my iPhone a lot. I really like the iPhone. I love my Fujifilm, as you both, all three of you laugh about my love affair with Fujifilm, but I just do love it.
No.
And I still have a Canon camera, and I'm quite partial to picking up a Nikon if someone gave it to me. I don't mind. I just enjoy the photography. I enjoy watching you guys' pictures because you inspire me and get me thinking. If you sort of say, "Oh, that's good, that's not good," well, I'll go away and have a sulk, and then I'll come back and think, "Oh, I'm going to do better. I'm going to prove them wrong." So I quite enjoy that side of things. And back to the thing of it, I know what's going to happen to my pictures when I go. The pictures that really will matter are family and friends. So that's the most important pictures I take, of the family and watching the families grow up, and that was where I all started, really. The rest of it's just a lot of fun. That's my life in photography, and 10 minutes for you, Martin.
And one breath. That's really impressive. Are you ever a breath in there? I don't even manage to breathe that quick, so it's great. No, but thank you. That's brilliant. And we were showing the photos you sent through your discussion then. And it is fascinating.
The other thing, the other thing I'd say, I really enjoy helping other people get on to do photography. And this is what I like doing the podcast. It gives me great pleasure to see other people's photographs and seeing somebody who's maybe not confident of their photographs, then having the confidence. And it doesn't cost you anything to say, "That's a good photograph." And then somebody thinks, "Oh, really?" Because usually people are very quick to criticize. And the teacher in me realizes if you get people enthused, then they really will like the subject they're doing.
Now you got me really worried, Dan. You never said any of my photographs are any good, so now I'm going to really get worried. I'm going to
Even the moon.
Go away, try harder, as they say. Good. Okay, thank you. That was really interesting. And as people have seen, the quality of your photographs is astounding. And you don't just luckily get onto the BBC, and you don't luckily get into the books. What you're saying,
Damo, I've got a question for you, right? I've been wondering what to ask you as you've been talking about that. So instead of asking you a question about your gear or something else, I'm going to ask you a hypothetical situation. There's a knock at your front door. Doctor Who is there with his TARDIS, and he'll take you anywhere you want. Where is it you're going to tell him to take you to take a photograph?
I think I would get back to my student days, because I didn't really have my camera with me when I was round as a student taking pictures of Manchester and that, because the other day I was listening to a music program done by a colleague of mine, and I was talking about the Buzzcocks doing a concert at the Rock Against Racism, and someone had taken pictures of that concert. And I went and looked at it and I thought, was that what it really was like? I don't have any pictures of that concert. I don't have any pictures of all those times because, I wasn't carrying the camera around. So if I went back to those places, I suppose I'd like to have my digital camera or my iPhone.
You'd slip your iPhone in your pocket and just discreetly bring it out and everybody go, "What's he got?"
Do you think that, Neil? Do you ever think that? You look now with your knowledge and
I enjoy looking at the photos I took, and they spur the memories. So I've got pictures of places that I associate memories with those pictures, and then I think,
really
that's a terrible picture.
That's a really interesting point, though, isn't it? Because I think I'm not sure if I would want to go back with a camera, because I think a lot of the time we're so busy trying to take pictures that you're not actually in the moment.
Yeah.
They become a distraction, don't they? You know, you see these concerts where everyone's on their phone, and they're not really taking in like the concert because they're so focused on their phones. So I'm not sure I would want to do that, actually.
It's a good point, Ian. It's a good point. Both of your points are good. It's just that when I saw pictures of places I'd been, I was there, and I don't recollect it being like that, but it must have been bizarre.
It's just old age. It's just old age.
Yeah,
Don't know.
it is.
Dementia setting in. That's true. Yeah.
No, it's those rose-tinted glasses you're wearing.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you on that issue? Do you go if you've got photographs in your collection, and you think, well, I'm now older, better equipment, or whatever? Do you fancy going back and trying to retake that photograph better than it was the original, or do you just say no, that was a moment in time and move on?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think somebody at work said, don't you feel like you discovered all this at a young age, and that you really missed out on a whole load of stuff because you only really got into it in your 50s and stuff? And I think to myself, no, I don't want to. I want to go back and take pictures of the cities and the environment. But as Neil was saying, and as Ian was saying, I mean, there is the moment now, and you could just totally get lost of capturing what's happening around you now. And I'm quite happy, always happy.
We've got a local photographer here in the village, and what he's been doing is there's a museum in Tring, and there's an awful lot of historical photographs in there of the village. Now he's gone back to do a then and now series. So he's gone and got the original black and white, and now he's bringing it up to date with a photograph of how the place or the street or the house is shaped now. And he's doing it both with color, and he's also doing it in black and white to match the original black and white photographs.
It's an interesting thing to go back and chat about that. You always think it's better in those days. It probably wasn't better. The other thing is, talking about AI recently, I've scanned some of my old photographs and then asked for the color to be updated with AI, and had some very interesting results. You know, part of the genes are blue and the other part are brown. You know, the AI has a hard time trying to really work out what the color of that time was.
I don't.
There is a joke there, but I'm not going
And
there.
there is a joke there, yeah.
Oh dear, yeah, that might be that might be a step too far for AI, I think. Yeah. Okay, funny, but it's a bit of a segue there. I don't know how many of you saw the Apple event the other day, but one of the items they brought up was about this new spatial photography, and they were showing that you can use either your phone to take spatial photographs, which appear in 3D kind of view, either on the screen or with the Vision Pro, or Canon have announced a new spatial lens, which they're going to make for the R mount, which basically has two lenses on actually inside the lens frame itself.
No, but the Canon thing, the spatial, that's all to do with Apple's Vision Pro.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess that's so you get a stereoscopic image effectively.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not spending $3,500 on a Vision Pro just to get some spatial photos, I'm afraid. No.
When you've got a pair of eyes that work just as well.
Well, that's just a start. But as I said, it was interesting that they're actually trying to get the camera manufacturers involved in it as well.
Having said that, though, I think the Vision Pro, from one of the things that does impress me from the Vision Pro is that I do really fancy trying the idea of, the Vision Pro and editing a photo, having that massive canvas, because you can have a virtual screen, can't you? You can link it up with your Mac.
Yeah.
I think the editing experience could be quite something, but they need to come down in price quite a lot, and they need to be a bit more comfortable, I think.
Yeah, they will. So, Ian, we were talking earlier on about the Lumix S9 you mentioned. You wanted to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. Panasonic announced this one probably a couple of weeks ago now. It's available for pre-order. 1,499 body only. It's a full frame mirrorless camera. And you know what? I don't very often get excited about camera releases because I don't know. I'm sort of quite happy with where I am with my photography. But this, I was really quite excited because as some of you guys are aware, I bought a little Panasonic Lumix to take on my holidays at the start of this year, and I've been so impressed with it. It's just a real joy to use. So I saw this, and the other thing that I found really interesting was it comes in different colours, which I know is not a new thing, but when you think most cameras are just black, aren't they, or silver, they're just really quite boring, aren't they? And I just thought they're really subtle colours. I think they look quite classy. But I very quickly got massively disappointed because although it's got 24 megapixels full frame, 5 stops of body image stabilization, I think it is more geared towards video, to be honest, which I can't.
They
go
market
through
it
the
as a
video
social
specs
media camera.
Yeah. But it hasn't got an electronic viewfinder, and it doesn't have a hot shoe for 1,500 quid. And I just don't get it, to be honest. I paid like 600 quid, just under 600 quid for my little Panasonic. I know it's micro four thirds, but that came with a lens, with an electronic viewfinder, with a hot shoe. And I get that these manufacturers need to market these cameras. This is not their flagship, so I know they need to differentiate. So I've got no problem with that. But if you're not going to include an electronic viewfinder, you're not going to include a hot shoe, and then you want to charge £1,500 for it, I think it needs to be a sub £1,000 camera, to be honest, based on what it is. So it's disappointing because I was like, wow, I'm really interested in this when I saw it.
How much is it going for?
They brought the camera out at the same time they brought out a 26mm f8 lens.
Yeah, that was bizarre as well.
Well,
yeah.
it's not bizarre if
F8.
you're doing video.
Well, I'd argue f8 is not great for video as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm guessing that's what they're aiming for: content creators, video.
But if you're but I mean, you've got to buy a lens for you've got your 1,500 quid. You need to get a lens.
That's
I mean,
200
if you're a content creator, I mean, you could probably, depending on how serious you are on it, I mean, why would you not just use your phone?
Yep.
I mean, I think it's oddly marketed, this camera.
I think the reason for the cost has been so high, they have to pay all the commission to Nikon and Canon for all the photographs they use.
Yeah, for the images they used. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well,
I was really disappointed because not many announcements sort of piqued my interest, and this one did, because I have really enjoyed using my little Panasonic Lumix. I think it's really piqued my interest into that market, away from Canon, and I've been Canon for forever. But no, no electronic viewfinder. I mean, I'm sorry, but any screen in bright daylight is a nightmare. Regardless of how good it is.
And the other thing with that is, if you've got glasses on as well, a bright day, it just don't work. Especially if you then wear sunglasses, because if you turn the camera 90 degrees with polarizing sunglasses, you can't see the screen. It goes black.
Yeah.
If you don't believe me, try it.
And talking of, you were saying about, we saw pictures of this, the first inklings of the new R1, the new Canon R1, and I just fell in love with it immediately. I know it's going to be way outside my price range, but to me, it's just a beautiful looking camera.
I'm going to predict it's going to be over 1,500.
No. 1,500.
Yeah, I think it's going. I predict it's going to be over 1,500.
I'd imagine it'd be near a £7,000.
I was going to say 6.5, somewhere there.
Yeah, it'll be. It's just.
I mean, it's got to compete with the Z9, though, hasn't it? And
that's come down in price a lot.
So, I think interestingly, if you're in the market for an R3, I think you want to sit tight for a minute, because I think that's got to come down a lot, because I don't think Canon can afford to market this one too much above the price of an R3, because they'll just price themselves out of the market, because people will look at the Z8 and the Z9 and go, well, why do I need to fork out for the R1? So they need to be quite keen with the pricing on it.
But it is aimed at the professionals, isn't it? Who don't end up paying for their camera.
But so's the Z9 and the Z8. So
Z9 you can pick up in the UK now for 4,400.
Yeah.
And the Z8 is
and that
even cheaper
is,
than that.
and the Z9 you hear nothing but amazing things about it. You know.
So it depends on what they do. We'll look forward to seeing the specs. And as I say each time, if Canon would like us to do a review for them, we'd be more than happy to get it here on the show and take a few.
But only 3.
Yeah.
We don't. There's no point sending 4.
Yeah, true. So, yeah, it would be fair, wouldn't it? Okay. All right. So just to open out to all our viewers, if there's any items out there that you've seen that you'd like us to have a look at or comment on, please pass it through on the comments. Let us know what you think, and we'll certainly endeavour to see if we can get a review of it or have a look and see what we think. So summer finally seems to have got round the corner, and we've got some reasonable weather, but it's still pretty chilly out there. Any photographic plans for the next month or so, Damo? What are you planning?
Well, next week, I like taking pictures of art installations, and I've booked to go and see Anthony Gormley's latest art installation that's up in Norwich in a stately home, Horton Hall, and he's got 300 bodies of himself buried in the grounds from there. To the chair up there all around. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the landscape looks like with all these metal bits that he's put around the place. So that's what's going to be for me for the next I'll show some pictures next week. No, the next time we have the podcast.
Great. Ian, any photographic plans? Any trips coming up or?
It's macro. No trips, but it's macro season for me. So I've got a couple of spots locally that I spend a lot of time in, but it's too cold here at the minute. It's not been good for insects at the minute. It's just we need it to warm up a little bit. But that's my plan. That is macro season for me.
Okay. And Neil, what are your any plans for the next few weeks?
Less of this stuff.
Yeah.
The rugby season's finished. It's six games of photography last weekend. I want to get out on a boat again and do some more pictures of sailing, and we're planning to get up a couple of early evenings and maybe even a moonshot. You never know.
Yeah, try and get a moonshot. Yeah. Do you have to use waterproof housings for when you're doing the water sports, Neil? No, just take it as is.
No, he's got proper cameras with weather sealing.
Yeah, they're weather sealed, so they're pretty good. Yeah, I mean, if they went in, that would be it. Well, I would probably go in after them and do something stupid. To be honest.
Hope they're well insured.
The lake is very, very deep. Yeah, they're well insured. But yeah, it's the Bol d'Or this weekend where they do the race for the lake, one end to the other.
Okay.
Typical time somewhere around about 14 hours for the winner.
Right.
For the winner.
With a winner. Yeah. Right. So what I'm going to do now is ask the guys to give us an idea of where we can get hold of you. Ian, you've already done it with your fantastic background shots there, but just where can people find you, Ian?
Yeah, as it says on the background, Instagram, Facebook, or ianlewisphoto.co.uk.
Okay. And then going back to the old fogies, we haven't got that modern technology. Ian, Damo, where can we get hold of you?
It's Damo, DAMMO, and just do it twice. So good, it's named it twice. So it's Damo.
What a line! What a line! Oh dear. And Neil,
or just watch BBC Weather.
BBC Weather.
You want to know where to find me? Well, you'll
Yes,
find
please.
me at 2:00 on the 17th of June at a photo shop in Bern.
Okay.
Having a look at the Z6 III.
Nice one.
I've just seen they've got
pictures, please. We'll have pictures.
Okay.
Yeah, if I'm providing I can get there, I'll pop up there and have a look and compare it to my Z6, the original.
Great.
Be interesting.
I'm your host, Martin Kelly. You can get hold of me at martinkelly@mac.com or here on Flashbang Wallop. Right, so we'll look forward to seeing you all next month. So it's good night from the guys. Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next month. Thanks for coming and tuning into Flashbang Wallop.